Hi everyone, welcome back to the interview series about engineering majors. With me here, I have Ryan Catoe. He's been both an electrical and computer engineering major. Ryan, if you want to tell him about yourself really quick.
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Ryan Catoe. I'm a senior from Boone, North Carolina. As Ben said, I started out as a computer engineer, and then I think halfway through sophomore year, I switched over to electrical engineering.
And for that reason, I think you'll give us a pretty good insight into both. So I guess let's hit the ground running. Going back to freshman year, we all took the same, sort of core engineering classes. Can you tell me about that year, what you liked about it, what you didn't like, etc.?
Yeah, from an academic standpoint, or just all around.
No, just academic standpoint.
Man, let's see. That was forever ago. It feels like, but I kind of enjoyed all those classes because I feel like it gave you a good baseline for different methods for problem solving we're gonna have to use in the future, no matter what your major is. And also in that freshman engineering class that everyone had to take, we had sort of mini lessons on each different kind of engineering major, and that helped me narrow down between computer and electrical engineering. So that was also very helpful. And also, it's just good to meet your fellow engineering majors and start making those connections as well.
Yeah, of course. And then from there, eventually move on through the year, decide your discipline. How did that happen? Did you have any sort of factors back home, classes you took, really anything that pushed you towards choosing engineering initially?
Not necessarily. I just knew I wanted to do something technical slash like electronic. So really for me, it was in between computer and electrical. So, obviously computer and electrical engineers are a highly sought after degree once you graduate just because the tech industry is booming. So that's obviously played a role into my decision. Um, that's really it, to be honest. It was more of a narrowing down process of what I didn't want to do.
Okay, fair enough. And then, well, you picked that one, you picked computer engineering, and then you picked again when you switched to electrical. Did anything specific motivate that decision, or?
I just hated coding, to be honest, and I wasn't very good at it. Takes hours, and then you get more errors, and just didn't really enjoy it. I enjoy electrical engineering more because it's more hardware focused, and you've got lists of equations you're going to use, and it's more of a definite problem solving process rather than with computer engineering. You're kind of just going at it on your own, and seems like it can be a lot more frustrating sometimes.
Gotcha. So you like more of the physical side. Obviously, coding's not for everybody. Some people love it, some people hate it. So I guess your insight there would be if you really love coding, then go into computer, is what it sounds like.
Yeah, computer engineering or computer science, if you enjoy coding, it just wasn't for me. It was too much staring at my laptop and, you know,
All right, well, let's take a step back for a second because, we're sort of talking to freshmen. And honestly, I don't know too much about either major. Can you kind of run through what each major is? What is electrical engineering? What is computer engineering? Sort of, they get out and they do what in the world?
sure. I'll do my best. So I did computer engineering up until halfway through sophomore year, like I said. And so I didn't get completely through the curriculum. And a lot of the classes I took actually overlapped between computer and electrical. But that being said, while I was a computer engineer, a lot of the classes were strictly just coding based. It was like learning how to code because, the professors and the curriculum assumed, a lot of these students may not have any experience coding. So a lot of them were entry level coding classes, whether that be machine level or machine learning or just like Python or C++, just basic coding classes. And along with that, let's see, when I was a computer engineer, I also took Circuits 1. Um, that class is just entry level learning how circuits work, learning Ohm's law and applying that in a variety of different ways, learning about resistors, capacitors, batteries, all sorts of things like that. And then, so computer was much more of a coding standpoint. And then when I switched to electrical, as I mentioned, it was a lot more hardware focused. And so a lot of the classes I've taken since then actually learn about real world devices that could be in circuits or inside of electronics. We had to take electronics 1, electronics 2, circuits 1, circuits 2, signals and systems, and all that's just learning about electronic devices and how they actually function in the real world. As far as careers go after college, Personally, I'm going to do a technical sales route. So that's kind of combining my interest in electrical engineering and business into, I guess, one occupation. So I'll be doing sales for semiconductors. So obviously, I need that engineering background knowledge to understand what I'm selling, and then the business interest to kind of get out there and actually sell the devices. For electrical engineering specifically, there's tons of different jobs you can do outside of college. I mean, I'd say most popular is probably working on hardware for a tech company and designing new hardware within electronic devices. That's probably the most popular that comes to mind.
Okay, kind of an easier question, but since switching to electrical engineering, and honestly, even from your time in computer engineering, can you tell me about some of your favorite classes and what about them appeal to you?
Yeah, my favorite class, man, let's see. I enjoyed electronics one. It was a pretty tough class, but the professor, Dr. Hubbard, was really good. Um, you had three grades in the class, two tests, and a final. So it was pretty high intensity, but Dr. Hubbard, cared a lot about the students actually learning material and applying it in those tests. And so obviously it was only three grades in the entire class. You have to stay pretty engaged and pretty focused throughout the semester. And so I probably learned the most in that class and I enjoyed it a lot. Sorry, what was the second half of that question?
Also, I mean, if you have a favorite class from computer engineering, and also sort of what drew you to that, or what about you makes that your favorite class.
From computer engineering, I'd say circuits one. I think that also overlaps with electrical engineering. I think they have to take that too, obviously. But circuits one was a fun class just because it was like intro level. The professor was really good, Dr. Kapadia, but it kind of just set everything up that you're going to have to learn in the future. And so it was a very valuable class. And I still use, the material I learned in that class today. It was just a fun class and, something that your whole major has to take. So you're kind of in there with everybody. Just enjoyed it.
Okay, awesome. And then, well, moving on through your college experience, now you've transferred. You're past sophomore year. Can you tell me a bit about your internship or co-op experiences?
Yeah, so I did my first internship this previous summer with Texas Instruments. I was doing technical sales out in Santa Clara, California. As I previously mentioned, I'll be doing that after college as well. So it led to that job for me, which was super nice.
Awesome. And I guess I'm not sure how much you'll know about it, but I think you've explained technical sales pretty well earlier in the interview. Can you tell us a little more about sort of different routes you can take in the computer electrical? They're kind of adjacent, just sort of
Mhm.
that world, which how ways you can go within the major and then ways you can go after the major as well
Sure.
as you can.
So for electrical engineering, I know the major is pretty laid out for you. There's not a ton of freedom in deciding, what classes you're going to take, which honestly, I think that's kind of a nice thing because you're taking the same classes with the same people for the last 2 or 3 years of your college experience. And once you get to become a senior, there's a little bit of freedom when taking tech electives. Like right now, I'm taking solar and I'm also taking electrification of transportation, and I chose to take those two classes. And there's a list of like 20 or 25 to choose from. So the freedom for picking your classes comes into effect senior year. But as far as occupations and internships go, I know five or six people off the top of my head who are doing research right now who are electrical engineering majors. And so that's definitely a very promising and prominent route that you'll see amongst a bunch of electrical engineering majors. Technical sales is actually a pretty popular one that I've seen, which again I think is attractive because you're kind of getting the business side of things in the occupation as well. And then just a lot of people will probably go into jobs where they work on like the actual hardware of devices for, I mean, like things like phones or computers or something like that, figuring out how, the new phones are going to be quicker than the old ones and how to implement that in efficient ways, things like that.
Awesome. I think you summed up my next question was your plans after college, etc. But I think you summed that up pretty well. I will ask you, what do you think about grad school for those two majors? Do you know anything about it? Is it valuable, required, not required?
I think it totally depends on what you want to do. A lot of the people who I know who are going to grad school are the people who are doing research. And so I think that obviously makes sense. You go to a grad school and do research there and get sponsored by somebody. That totally makes sense. But by no means is it required. I think for people in my situation doing technical sales, it may be good for them to get another business degree after college. Um, that's possible if your company pays for it. I think that'd be nice, but not required, not necessary. So
Awesome. And then I guess this sort of brings around first full circle to my final question would be, you feel like you chose the right major? I mean,
yeah,
obviously you switched halfway through, so I hope so. But
yeah, I think I landed on the right major for sure. Especially now that I'm going to be able to kind of apply more, business world things to that major. I think I definitely chose the right one.
all right, awesome. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and good luck with Texas Instruments.
Awesome. Thanks, man.